one more thing with Trey Lance. We've talked a lot about how he's going to improve the Niners offense. It occurred to me watching him kind of tear up the Niners defense that he's going to improve them. I mean, not just by being a good quarterback, but attempting throws that the other starter the last few years wouldn't. I mean, all of a sudden, the corners are getting tested. I feel like the Niners would go through the offseason and be like, we have great corners. Like, your quarterback never tests them. Now, I mean, they're getting tested outside the numbers and deep. I think that's only going to improve. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, so you said improve the 49ers defense?
Defense, yeah.
Yeah, when you're getting challenged in that way and you know that it's somebody that's willing to kind of challenge you in a different way all over the field, it does something different for you from a mindset standpoint, right? A lot of these defensive backs, man, and these safeties and these guys I've seen a lot, like they're smart. And they'll tell you like, hey, you don't got to worry about this or that, right? Like there are a lot of things that Jimmy Garoppolo does well. I think over the middle, he did a really good job snapping that ball out, getting the ball out with good timing and rhythm, right? But if I was a defense, I would know, look, I can funnel things or play heavy to the inside because this is where he wants to throw. This is where he wants to win. And if you look at a lot of his passing charts, it would show that. Like that middle of the field was a really hot area for him. When there's a guy that's going to pepper shots all over the field, that's a little bit harder. You got to play things a little bit more honest. And I think that's a little more difficult. So it's going to help even the 49ers DBs just kind of understanding like, okay, I got to play more honest because, he can be far hash, but he's still going to throw this deep out over here. Well, that's something that Jimmy Garoppolo just won't even attempt. Typically, I mean, he there might be like one throw, then you'll see a lot of, the Jimmy stands or whatever. Not like Jimmy, but there's some people that really love him. But it's like, oh, look, they say he can't throw outside the numbers, right? Like there'll be like that one throw. It's like, well, he is an NFL quarterback, but that's not where he's gonna make his bread and butter. Like that's not where he's good, and he knows that. That's why it's so limited. And I think Kyle Shanahan knew that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the reason Jimmy Garoppolo tends to throw so many interceptions in practice is his defense knows his tendencies. They know where he's going to throw. And when he would go down and practice against the Chargers by day 2, they'd figure it out. And again, he's throwing interceptions left and right. It's like, if you know Jimmy Garoppolo and you've seen him a few times, to me, he becomes a liability. And the reason he was so good early in his career is people didn't know his tendencies yet. He's some very ironclad tendencies where he throws the ball. You just needed a little bit of data on him. Now you got it. And now I feel like he's plateaued at best. And Lance, I mean, there's going to be data on him. It's like the same in baseball. A lot of times a hitter's best year is his rookie year because there's no book on him. And all of a sudden pitchers figure out where his strengths and weaknesses are. It's going to happen to Lance too. But really, I mean, right now the Niners defense doesn't know what to make of him. He's throwing the ball everywhere. And they're like, as you said, they're kind of just playing honest right now.
You gotta play more honest. It's a little bit harder to jump things, and eventually, they'll figure out some tails. And I think playing against a quarterback like that makes them play honest. When you play against Justin Fields week 1, you're gonna be a little bit more prepared for a different skill set and dynamicness that this guy Justin Fields brings. We saw it last year when the 49ers played the Bears and kind of what happened. And some of the throws he was able to make, I think they were a little surprised by how efficient he was, and then he started making plays with his legs. Those things, when you aren't really prepared for it like that, it makes it a little bit tougher. I think with Trey Lance there, with just how he throws passes all over, I definitely think that should help the defense a lot.
Last thing about him, and this is something I've noticed. Now, he was really hitting his first read a lot. He seemed to know where to go with the ball, but I don't really see him scan the full field that often. He usually picks a side.
So and part of that is Kyle in his ear, probably.
Yes,
probably. Kyle, and he did well, right? He did well throughout OTAs. Yeah. Kyle can be kind of holding his hand a little bit. So there's that. There's that.
If it's this coverage, I want you to go here. If it's this coverage, I want you to go here. Okay.
Yeah, there's everything is scripted,
right?
So a lot of kind of how things are going to go, whatever. And then Kyle can tell you, okay, look for this or look for that. So Kyle could be, but as training camp comes, they tend to take off the training wheels a little bit more, and you should see him start to kind of be able to do those things on his own. And then that's when we'll maybe see more of the full field scans, because we saw that. I mean, you can go to the Houston Texans game, and you'll see him boom, boom, ball out, and that one throw he threw down the right sideline to Brandon Ayuk in the end zone where it was like almost a touchdown. He started left, came middle. then came right and threw a bomb to Brandon Ayuk down the right sideline. So
Yeah.
he has it in him, but again, learning and knowing the offense and the more comfortable he gets, those are things that's going to develop over time.
For sure. Todd Harris says Niners News on Facebook said Lance has more MVP votes than Patrick and Aaron combined. Do you think it can happen, or is it just a small bet, big payout? Well, they haven't started the voting yet.
Oh,
but
I see what he's saying. Like maybe like the
odds,
that where people are putting their money.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that's all about odds.
I would slow down on that. I think the Niners are going to lead the league in rushing attempts this year. I mean, maybe Trey Lance will be an MVP in a couple of years, but I don't think as a first year as a starter, he's going to be throwing enough to be in the conversation.
But maybe based on odds, because his odds are like, I don't know, it's probably like plus 2,000 or something like that. So if you go and put down, a few $100s, then it's like, okay, if he happens to win, like, okay, I came up 6,000,
Yeah.
So that's all that is for people that bet. It's not that they legit think, oh, this guy will win MVP.